Oh, well, you should have been recording everything because that way, when you said, I feel like we should have done some introduction, I could have gone nonsense and that would have been fucking perfect. Dumbass.
Well, I just recorded what you said, so it's good enough.
Well, we'll get something there.
Well, welcome to
I said the F word.
number 2. Hey, man, this is the internet. Everybody, it's the internet.
That's true. A lot of people cuss.
This is uncensored YouTube internet.
He's on the internet.
Who's that?
Will Wheaton's on the internet and he cusses. So.
No, he was Wesley Crusher. You can't. He's not supposed to say bad words. Still, and forever. Always. You can't not.
Sure.
You can't not be. He is forever and ever.
Okay.
Just saying.
Which means Patrick Stewart can't be Charles Xavier because he's always Jean-Luc Picard, is what you're saying.
No, he's everyone.
That's true. He is everybody.
He is everybody always at all times. He's us.
What I loved was apparently Patrick Stewart has acclimated to living in New York quite well, I guess.
Really?
Because he's been on a play for a while, so he's been there for a few months in a row.
Of course.
And I guess when the new mayor of New York, de Blasio, or whatever his name is, I'm sure I'm slaughtering that, was like, there was a picture of him caught eating a pizza with a fork and knife, which as a New Yorker, you never do. Or as a normal American, you don't do because it's stupid. But even Patrick Stewart on Twitter went, I've only been here for a couple months and I know how to do it. You fold it up.
What if it's
I don't know what that point of that story was.
What if it's really hot? Like, what if the pizza's so hot you can't hold it?
Nope. You're in New York. You're in New York. You fold it and you go for it.
You just deal with it and eat it.
Or in your mouth. Yep. That's what you do.
That sounds like a good idea, but
it's how you get your body used to eating hot pizza.
You just do it.
It's
you
survival of the fittest, man.
Survival of the fittest.
This is evolution in action.
Pizza proves evolution.
No, not hot pizza. Just eating hot pizza.
Eating hot pizza.
Yeah, because those who can't eat hot pizza
die.
Will slowly die out because they won't be able to reproduce. That's how evolution works.
Anyway, thank you for joining us.
For that wonderful diatribe on evolution, which I totally and absolutely believe in. I'm just having fun.
That was the intro. This is Unlisted. It's a video podcast on YouTube. Deal with that. You want to download the audio? It's tough.
No.
You can go. I'll give you. You message me. I'll give you a website where you can download.
Yeah, there's plenty of links where you can just.
You can put it on your iPod. I don't care. You can put it on your shoe.
Put it on your Zune.
No, well, nobody owns Zunes.
Excuse me?
You bought the one Zune that they sold.
No, actually, Danny Bell still has his old brick one, which is hilarious.
Okay,
it literally has an actual hard drive in it. That's how old it is. It's not like flash memory like every other MP3 player in the world. It's an actual hard drive. It's ridiculous. Wow. It's old. It's so old. But, I have Zune.
Well, cool. That brings us to the first topic of today's.
I don't remember all the topics.
I wanted to talk about really cool technology. Now those Zunes, they're not cool technology.
Nope.
Let's face it. MP3 players are not, at this point in time, not cool technology.
Yeah,
they're neat, but they've been around. But now your phone is an MP3 player. Now
your car is an MP3 player,
right? And I read an article. Or did I read it or heard it on something?
Yeah.
Regardless, about how in the next few years, if the sales of iPods don't go at all, they'll just stop making them because there's no point. Because people who want an iPod are just buying phones like iPhones or Androids or anything else because essentially are the same thing.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of the point because Sony still makes Walkman brand MP3 players, but they're based off Android. They're not like some other thing. It's an Android phone without the phone. Yeah.
Right. And so what's the point?
Exactly.
It costs them more money to make than it does.
Yeah. They're probably not making much money off that anymore. I can't imagine they are.
So, what in the last 4 or 5 months have you seen that's been really cool to you as far as like any kind of new technology, whether it be like it could be anything.
I could think of two.
Okay.
One is the rise of 3D printing. Where you can I think a basic 3D printer like for a consumer is something like $5,000, which is a little expensive, but you can start making parts for things that you need, or designing like new cell phone cases. And just you click print, and it's a little box next on your desk that slowly puts out resin or plastic of some sort into whatever shape you want it to. And that's going to start becoming really big.
I do like 3D printers. The first 3D printer I ever saw was the one, not in real life, but at all,
video.
Was it wasn't like the resin that it puts out in little strings, or those kind of 3D printers, but it was with the
CNC
sand,
machine. Yeah,
where it just prints it compacts all the stuff together real hard.
Yeah,
and they were printing tools. They would print wrenches and screwdrivers and all kinds of things that you could use anywhere that cost next to nothing to print.
Yeah,
which were just as strong. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's coolest about 3D printers.
Mm-hmm.
And also probably the scariest thing is because you can literally print anything if you have the blueprints. They printed guns, which have since become illegal in some states.
Well, and the only problem with those guns is that they would probably stop working after the first shot is fired out of them because the plastic parts can't stand the tolerance of the heat.
Right.
But there's going to be a point in the technology where you can have a metal 3D printer. And that's just going to be nuts. Yeah, but you could build vehicle parts at that point, or actual outright guns. Right, and
those guns do only work for maybe one shot, but that's one shot.
Exactly,
maybe
right.
That's the
it's
shot.
Like it's in what was the movie? In the Line of Fire. The guy makes that plastic gun.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you're worried about.
Yeah. Exactly. You never know.
It's not that you've got hundreds of bullets. If it's how to aim it, and you've got the right timing, you just need one. And this podcast is now being listened to by the NSA.
It's okay. We don't own 3D printer
or guns.
Or guns. Yes, I don't own any guns. I have no need for guns. They're fun to shoot at targets and things.
Target shooting is pretty much it. Yeah.
And if you're into hunting, I guess that's cool too.
It's cool to watch a CD explode when you hit it just right.
Right, or whatever. But
targets,
I don't need to own
things. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yep. Well, that went sideways. No, the other cool piece of tech though that I've seen is in gaming. They're actually starting to get to the point where VR will be not stupid. Virtual reality.
Are you talking Oculus Rift?
I am talking Oculus Rift, and Valve has their own version too. That's supposed to be as good, if not better.
Really?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Oculus Rift is like, imagine the Virtual Boy, but not stupid.
And not just red and black.
Yeah. And then you use like 2 different controllers, or you can use one controller, but then if you turn your head,
it knows about your head's moving.
Basically virtual reality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the other cool thing about, I know Oculus Rift does it, is that you can actually just watch 3D movies using it too.
Right, because doesn't it have 2 separate screens?
2 screens, essentially. So it's doing left eye, right eye. But it makes it the biggest 3D screen you'll ever own, because the perspective looks like you're staring at everything. So, but you can hook it up to a 3D Blu-ray player and it works.
But what I want to know is how long you can wear one of those before it starts to give you a headache or strain.
Actually, what they say is for every, I read this somewhere, where was it? It was either on like Joystick or Engadget, one of those 2 sites. But they say, the Oculus Rift guys still say, and it's actually supposed to be true for pretty much any form of video gaming, PC, consoles, whatever, headset or not. You're supposed to, like every 2 hours, you're supposed to take like a 10 to 15 minute break anyway.
Right.
Just because of eye strain and stuff like that. How long can you actually stare at a 32 or a 64-inch TV or whatever you have?
That's true.
I say staring at my 32-inch computer monitor TV.
Hey, you get used to it.
That's true.
But
I can't even imagine using a monitor smaller than this at home anymore.
Yeah, and I sit here with my 15-inch laptop.
It's all you need right now.
It's all I have right now. Let's just say that.
Touche.
I don't really. It's right. I don't really need anything else, but it would be a desire. And that's cool too. That's another thing I was going to talk about as far as screens go. They're starting to get where the resolution on the screen is so high that you can't get anything with that resolution under 55 inches.
Yeah.
Where there's like Ultra HD, and then there's 4K.
Yeah,
or 5K.
And they're not the same thing, unlike what some companies want you to think. They're not the same
right. thing. But Ultra HD is better than 1080p, but it's like...
I think it's technically 2K if you're talking like outright resolution. I think it is. I mean, and what's crazy is your standard movie theater digital projector is a 2K screen. So you'll actually very soon be able to get a TV monitor, a TV screen that is higher resolution than what you can see at a movie theater.
Yeah, but is it worth it? I mean...
Oh God, I don't want to spend $10,000 on that right now. Yeah, $10,000 is like the cheapest one you could get right now.
Well, and Samsung made an 8K television.
Yeah, and it's also the size of a Suburban, but
that's true.
It's thin, but it's lengthwise. It's like 108 inches or something like that. It's ridiculous.
What I really wanted to catch on as far as technology goes in televisions is the cinema TV, the one that's extra wide.
God,
I think those are cool.
I see the appeal. I think it's just I'm just so used to, even if it's like a widescreen movie, the black bars on top and bottom I'm used to. I don't want to have to deal with bars on the side when I'm watching a 185 flick as opposed to a 235.
That's true.
So it's just like, I think the 16:9 ratio is the ideal compromise for whatever mediums you're watching.
Right. I guess I didn't remember that they do the black or gray bars on the side.
Mm-hmm. For the 185 stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's a button that you can press that'll zoom in and fill everything in, but that's stupid.
Well, and they also have those curved OLED screens now.
Well, that's actually a lot of movie theater screens are like that too. It's because at a certain point, when things are on the outside of your field of vision, you want it curved out. Otherwise, it distorts. If it just stays as a perfect rectangle,
it gives you better.
That's why IMAX screens are curved like that. Because otherwise, far side stuff would look a little squished down vertically.
Yeah, it would be a little odd.
Yeah. So if it curves, it kind of artificially stretches it on the sides in your vision anyway. It's science. It's too complicated for me.
Exactly. Leave that for the people who make those things.
People who know eyes.
Yeah, I don't care to know that.
And how the brain processes imagery.
My brain just processes it. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
No, there's
Speaking of movies, though. Speaking of movies, we decided to set upon ourselves a task this week, viewers, to watch the latest Arnold. Well, I guess it would be the latest Arnold Schwarzenegger starring film. He's been in other movies, but this was like the Arnold Schwarzenegger return to acting.
Yes, this was the first one.
Yeah. And The Last Stand. It came out last like February or January or so in theaters. And I literally just finished watching it about 45 minutes ago. From the time of this recording. And I'm going to fire the first shot, Young. I mean, I'm assuming you watched it too, right?
I did. Okay. Before you go, I just want to give a little bit of background on this. It did come out on January 18th of last year, 2013.
Yep.
It has Arnold Schwarzenegger as the main character. Forrest Whitaker is in the movie.
Yeah.
Johnny Knoxville. Rodrigo Santoro plays Frank. He played Frank.
Okay.
If you haven't seen the movie, it doesn't matter. He's insignificant.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other people that nobody cares about.
Jamie Alexander from Thor is in it. Thank you very much.
That's
the one
true.
Significant female role.
Oh, and Luis Guzman is in it.
Who's hilarious, always.
He was pretty good.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a bunch of people you might have seen before, but those are really the only people that make any difference in the movie.
Yeah.
It's an interesting movie about...
what's the log line, right? It's a small town sheriff must deal with an oncoming escaped fugitive, right? Yeah, that's the one sentence summary.
Yes, exactly. But this is the thing that got me the most, and this is just as I'm looking at it right now on the poster for this movie.
Yeah.
It says, "The Last Stand. Retirement is for sissies." So the long and short of it is, this is a movie about Arnold Schwarzenegger still being Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's old.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the plot of this movie.
Yeah, essentially. Okay, so the things I overall noticed about the film: one, I didn't remember that Forrest Whitaker was in it. So when he showed up, I was just like, "What the hell?" And then partway through, I realized, you know what? You could also call this movie, instead of The Last Stand, you could also call it Forrest Whitaker likes to say fuck a lot. Because he does a lot. His character says that word quite often.
He certainly does.
And that just came upon me. That was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I realized was, while I like Schwarzenegger as an actor, and he does well as that big, strong, muscular, actiony hero guy, this was totally the wrong role for him. You know who would have been better in the role?
Who's that?
I think it's going to blow your mind. And maybe not. Maybe it won't blow your mind. I think, before he went crazy, but still this age, Mel Gibson would have been awesome. Certainly more believable as a small town sheriff than a guy from Austria.
I could see that, but he's only a small town sheriff because he lived the big city life in LA.
Okay, cool. But that would actually make, if you put Mel Gibson in it, that makes this like Lethal Weapon 17.
That's true.
Because Mel Gibson's character in the Lethal Weapon movies is an LA cop.
Right.
And so you could just pretend this is some spiritual sequel to the Lethal Weapon movies where he's given it up and retired and become a sheriff in Arizona. See, I just improved the movie.
Except Mel Gibson seems to only do movies these days that he has directed or had a piece in.
Has some involvement in. Yeah. Agreed. That's true.
The thing that
I was just thinking Mel Gibson would have been pretty good in this movie too.
I agree, but I didn't hate Arnold's performance.
I didn't hate him. I was just like, there was a better move.
It seems somewhat forced. Like, I haven't been doing this for a while.
Yeah,
it got better as it went, but
getting the rust off the gears, kind of, in terms of acting for him.
I did enjoy the movie, but the problem I had with this is the trailer for this movie made it seem like it was going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Johnny Knoxville. Those two teaming up for this whole movie. Johnny Knoxville is he's in the movie, he's kind of a main character, but he's kind of a side note.
Yeah.
It's
agreed.
He could not, if he weren't in the movie, it would make no difference. They could have just put that gun museum in the movie, in that town.
And he could just find it. Yeah. Exactly. Or just know that existed. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Or it could have been like, guns that they had confiscated over the years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to explain something like that. But Johnny Knoxville, I was expecting to see a lot more of him.
Well, and I think that was the other thing about the film that kind of I noticed was that it couldn't decide if it was a comedy or if it was trying to be a little more serious. It was trying to balance the two. And the other thing was, since they had Johnny Knoxville on the poster, you expect it to be funnier.
Right, and even his
and they tried to sell it more as a comedy.
Right, and even Johnny Knoxville's character wasn't extremely
I mean, he had a
funny.
couple of funny lines, but yeah, it I think it probably would have been more successful too if it had a bit more humor in it.
Well, I was actually pretty pleased that it wasn't so campy as I thought it was going to be. Like, I wanted it to
camp.
be
I'm not looking for camp humor. I'm just looking for kind of
I know. I mean,
realistic humor, I guess. That makes
sense.
Sense.
I mean, like a classic Arnold Schwarzenegger buddy cop kind of movie.
Oh yeah. See, I'm thinking more along the lines of the first part of Predator, where all those one-liners in the first part of Predator work as jokes, but it doesn't make it feel campy.
But were those meant to be jokes, you think?
A few of them. When he throws the knife at the guy into a wall and he says, "Stick around."
Right.
I'm pretty certain that's Predator. It might be Commando, but I'm pretty certain it's Predator because I've never seen it.
Or when he in Predator, when he knocks down the wall. And goes, knock knock.
Yeah. Or what's the one with Jesse Ventura's got? I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh right. There's those little funny, but
things. It's not campy. It's the character being super serious.
I was pleased with the way that the tone the movie took, because I expected it to be something else. So it was kind of surprising, and maybe that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
But It just left me wanting something else from it, and I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it's one of those movies.
It was entertaining. I've definitely seen immensely worse movies. It wasn't bad. It's just it was a movie. I watched it. It entertained me for an hour and 45 minutes.
Sure, it's something you can turn on. See.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that kind of I was like, was that they've got this. I think it was like a Corvette, wasn't it? Or the car the bad guy's driving, like for 90% of the film.
Some kind of souped up car.
Yeah, but they say that it's got close to 1,000 horsepower, and I've started to become slightly of a gearhead because I've been watching way too much Top Gear. Sure. And I know for a fact that there is no Chevy, Corvette, or Cadillac, or any American-made car like that has anywhere near 1,000 horsepower.
It says a modified Chevrolet Corvette C6 ZR1.
Yeah. No, you can't put an engine in there that'll do 1,000 horsepower. That won't also flip the car end over end. It would have too much torque.
But it's modified.
Well, point being, no. I just went like, if you want it,
you can't.
Go get. There are 1,000 horsepower cars. Have the guy drive a Bugatti Veyron, which is a stunning looking car that can do actually. There's a version that does 1,200 horsepower. Has a top speed of 264 miles an hour.
That's not necessary.
No, it's not. That car will go through its gas. If you just floor it the whole time, the car will go through its gas tank in 12 minutes.
So just put a huge gas tank on it.
Well, it's not a huge gas tank. It's like a 100-gallon gas tank already.
And it'll still burn through that in 12 minutes.
Like 12 minutes. You're doing nothing but 260 miles an hour the whole time, yeah.
So
it's insane. Anyway, back to the movie.
There's a couple other things that really kind of just, and I guess this is being nitpicky. It really is being nitpicky. I'll just say that.
Cool. Go.
The day that they have their big battle, starts at 4 a.m. Basically,
no,
it starts at 4 a.m. when they get when the sheriff gets the call that old guy who died.
Yeah.
No, he gets the call from the girl at the diner that the old guy who died didn't deliver the milk.
Yeah, that's
and they go to the
house. That's like 4:30. That's right.
Sometime at around 4 o'clock. But they go there, everything's dark, and then 6 a.m. bright as the afternoon.
Yeah.
There's no sunrise, nothing.
Nope,
it's sunrise, from dark to light.
It's true.
I mean, Earth. That's all I have to say about that.
Apparently, the Earth didn't rotate so much as it just jerked forward really quickly.
I mean, most of it takes place at 7 or 8 in the morning. It's a very short amount of time.
The third act, basically,
right,
is all like 7 to 9 a.m.
Right.
I did like the very. I don't know. Are we going spoilers for these people? Yeah, sure. Why not? It's been out for a year. Okay,
if you don't want to know what happened, just pause it, skip forward a minute. We won't be talking about it then.
Yeah. I just loved like how he brought the bad guy in at the end. I don't know. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
Tied to the back of
the crap
of the Camaro.
Out of it. Yeah. While he's just hopping on his one good leg. While he's tied to the car. That was hilarious. I love that. Okay.
That's another interesting part about that movie too. Like I just thought about this. When he's driving him back in, there's no top on the car, but did he really crash into the middle of that track?
Yeah. There's a shot where you see the roof flying off.
I saw the car hood, but I didn't see the roof.
No, it was the top of the car. You could see that the windshield was part of it, or at least when I saw it.
Well, it's the same movie, so I'm sure it was.
I would hope so. Otherwise, Netflix is censoring. Yeah. Okay. Spoilers off.
Yeah, no more spoilers. If you can't be spoiled by a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and a bad guy,
exactly.
He gets the bad guy, and he doesn't.
Is there a Schwarzenegger film where he dies in the end that isn't Terminator 2 or the Terminator or Terminator 3?
So any Terminator movie that he dies in the end.
That he dies in the end. I can't think of one.
Nope. Not that I
mean, I guess The Sixth Day, but he was cloned, so there was 2 Arnold Schwarzeneggers.
What about...
And then you could go just totally nuts and claim that Total Recall was all a dream, but...
What's that?
Oh, the one where he's fighting Satan.
Yes. What is that one?
Oh God, the sixth. No, that was the clone one. Oh, End of Days.
End of Days. He dies in the end of that.
He dies in the end of that one. I haven't seen it. That's interesting.
Oh, spoiler alert!
Yeah, whatever. That movie's for like
I think he dies.
1999.
Yeah, it's long enough.
Yeah.
We'll say if it was before 2000, you should have already seen it.
Interesting. I'll have to watch that one just to see how they kill him. Because how do you kill Schwarzenegger? I guess he's not supposed to be some super badass action hero in that movie, though. Is he just like?
Yeah, it's not kind of that. Yeah, it's not that kind of movie.
Oh, okay.
It's good, but I mean, it is that kind of movie, but it's not like a super action movie.
Yeah, I mean, like what was the one I saw? I saw Collateral Damage that he's in, which is not a very good movie at all. But I mean, he should have died so many times in that film. I mean, he jumps off like a 500-foot waterfall and makes it to the bottom just fine. Like, nope, you're dead. Sorry.
I'm going through a list
at that height, you can't hit the water correctly to live. It's sorry, you're dead. And that was when I stopped believing that movie.
After looking through the list of his movies, and I haven't seen all of them, of course, but I don't see any one where he dies because he's the main character.
Schwarzenegger,
other than the Terminator, who know can travel through time or get sent back,
or is a robot.
That makes sense.
So it's not really alive to begin with.
That's true, but that makes sense to have him be reoccurring. Yeah.
I actually watched another movie with "last" in the title a couple days ago. It's The Last Castle with Robert Redford and the late great James Gandolfini, where Redford plays this military general who is convicted of a crime, and he goes, "It's a military prison movie. It's a prison meant for soldiers," and he stages a revolution because the guy running the place, played by Gandolfini, is kind of a dick. Yeah. I mean, they don't make him like a super, super evil bad guy, but he's definitely not doing his job correctly and letting prisoners die, kind of thing. Yeah. He's not the prison warden from Shawshank Redemption, but he's not Hugs and Cuddles either, if you get what I'm saying.
Well, that makes sense.
But that's a movie where, this is also a spoiler, but the film's from 2001, so I'm spoiling it. It's over a decade old. Really good, though. Redford dies in the end. It's Robert Redford. Yeah. Dies at the end. Totally earned, but yeah, right out, dead.
Wow.
Good movie though. It's I found it. I actually watched it on Xbox because it's not on Netflix. You can only get the DVD. You can't stream it.
Xbox has movies.
Yeah, Xbox Video, whatever. Microsoft's video service. I rented it for like $5. But yeah, I've seen it before, but I wanted to watch it again. That one's actually a really good flick. If you're looking for a movie that's over a decade old with Robert Redford in it, and you like prison movies. The Last Castle.
Wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger in a prison movie recently?
Yeah, it was called Prison Break. No. It was called Escape Plan.
Prison Break, Escape Plan.
Totally not even called Prison Break. No, it was Escape Plan with Sylvester Stallone. And I guess Schwarzenegger had a whole scene he had to do with German.
Austrian,
because he probably still speaks German.
Same difference.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like a whole scene. I remember reading reviews for it, and they're all just like, he speaks German. And I was like, yes, he does. He does speak German. Oh, you mean in the movie? Oh, okay.
So you do know he is Austrian. Right?
And they don't have Austrian isn't a language. They speak German.
That's very true. Although their accent is a little different.
It's different. Yeah. Same with Switzerland.
It's just a regional accent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. So Last Stand, not bad. Last Castle, awesome. Schwarzenegger movies, usually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I just summed up the last couple minutes for everybody.
I'll just put it. Yeah, that's a pretty good statement. I would say that Arnold Schwarzenegger movies are worth watching, even if they're bad. Because they're still good. They're so bad.
I will never watch Jingle All the Way. I draw the line.
That hands down is the best Christmas movie ever. You'll never know because you'll never see it.
No.
It's a classic combination. Sinbad and
by classic he means physically painful.
No, it's got Phil Hartman and the kid from Star Wars, Phantom Menace. This is recipe for Oscar-worthy movie, and he got gypped. Where's the Oscar? He played Turbo Man, a Power Ranger of sorts.
Rip off, basically. Yeah, it's a red Buzz Lightyear.
Pretty much.
Yeah, red Buzz Lightyear.
Hey, that's maybe where
that
they
sounds
got the
way
idea for Toy Story.
dirtier than I should be saying.
Anyway, if you had to give The Last Stand a rating out of 10,
out of 10,
what would you
I would give it a 6.8.
Okay. And I think
How about you, good sir?
I'd give it a solid 7. I'll give it an even 7, just because it's worth watching, but it's not worth paying money for. If you have a streaming service, it's worth.
That's true.
Seeing it on Netflix.
Yeah.
But it's not worth
Facebooking.
buying.
Yeah. No. Totally true.
Okay, so since you picked this last movie.
Oh God, you're picking one now. Damn it.
Yes, and for you, those of you who are watching, we're going to trade off every time, and we'll talk about the movies. If you don't like,
if you pick Jingle All the Way, I'm quitting.
No, I'm going to try to pick movies that neither of us have seen. So if you've seen it, I've got a.
Okay.
I have a backup.
Throw it down.
So just for a little bit of explanation, we'll have a new movie every week, and we'll trade off. If you don't like us talking about movies, then
go somewhere else.
Or just skip like 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to us talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, more than 2 minutes, but you know what I mean. I'm going to make you guess what movie I picked.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you clues.
Okay.
There is a movie came out recently that is similar to it.
Okay. How recently?
Last year, I want to say.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
This movie came out in 2000.
Okay.
It is not. It's got all Asian actors. And it is similar to a popular series of books.
Your Battle Royale.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I've not seen Battle Royale. Okay.
We're going to watch Battle Royale. This is from 2000.
Okay.
And I'm going to butcher this. The original title is Bataru Rorayu. I can't say it.
I can't remember if it's Japanese or Korean. The film.
I want to say it's Japanese.
It's Japanese.
It says, in the future, the Japanese government captures a class of 9th grade students and forces them to kill each other under the Revolutionary Battle Royale Act. It's similar to the Hunger Games, from what I understand, but better. So,
well, we'll see. Because I actually kind of dug the two films for the
I haven't seen Catching Fire, but I like the first one.
Oh, so good. It's good. It's actually really good.
Yeah,
and the only problem I had with the first Hunger Games movie was that I get you're trying to get your realism into your cinema by having a handheld camera, but I mean, I shot home videos that were less shaky when I was 8 or 9 years old.
Hey, it's a filming technique.
Cinema verite doesn't belong everywhere, dude.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because I'm an expert.
You gotta just pick up your camera. And this isn't a camera, but you just gotta do this with it while you're filming stuff. You gotta act like you have Michael J. Fox.
But in the first Hunger Games movie, it wasn't like just kind of little bounces like you were doing. It was like that.
That's true.
And that was just while people were talking. We didn't even make it to the Hunger Games yet.
Maybe they couldn't afford Steadicam rigs.
Kind of like Battlefield Earth, where they could. I'm pretty certain they could only had a 2-legged tripod, so every shot was like that.
I just think that movie was all kinds of crooked.
Oh God, that movie was so bad. And actually, hilariously enough, I read the book before I knew who the hell L. Ron Hubbard actually was.
Well, so did a lot of people.
Well, because I just read it as a sci-fi book, and it was the book is massive. It's a brick. It's like 1,000 pages in paperback. It's huge. And the movie was like the first half of the book, and that was the only good, quote unquote, good part of the book anyway. Because the rest of the book was the good guy his name was Johnny Goodboy. Yeah. The good guy, Johnny, defeats the rest of the alien universe through intergalactic banking.
I didn't know they had banks in space.
Well, they did. And this guy who had been a incomprehensible caveman not like 3 months prior to the end of the book defeats all of the alien empires through banking.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah. That at that point, the book lost me. Just like, no.
So we won't watch that, but we'll
I'll
watch.
watch Battlefield Earth.
We'll watch Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Okay.
Oh, and
Next.
we've never said anything about this, but we're going to try to keep this to every other week. So there won't be another one next week.
Yeah, it'll be the week after.
It'll be the week after. So you have 2 weeks to watch this movie.
Yep.
And that's
doable.
yes.
I watch plenty of movies in a week.
Well, I watched The Last Stand over 3 days. I just watched it in snippets because it's that kind of movie. I started it and I was like, I don't need to pay attention wholeheartedly to this movie to understand it.
See, I came home from work today and just hit start and didn't give up until it was dinner time and the movie was over.
That's a good plan.
So
I'll do that with Battle Royale.
I would say.
So that's good.
Not eat until I've done watching Battle Royale. Which means I should probably start watching it sometime tonight if I want to eat.
That's true. Just remember what it's about.
Is it on Netflix?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm going to try to pick movies that are on Netflix, just because we both have access to that.
So, in other words, the show after that, the next one, we'll be watching The Avengers because it's on Netflix. No, I'm kidding.
I wouldn't mind, but it should be a movie that we
great movie
haven't seen.
True. All right.
So pick a couple because maybe I've seen it, maybe I haven't.
Yeah, exactly. There's movies I've seen on Netflix. You'd just be like, really? Okay.
But you haven't seen Jingle All the Way.
No, I've avoided Jingle All the Way.
It's all right.
I've ducked and weaved, good sir. Duck and weave.
You'll have children one day, and I'll come over.
I will have children one day, and I will raise them better than that.
Well, I'll give it to your children as a Christmas present.
Uncle Young doesn't get to come over ever.
I don't have to come over to send it in the mail. It won't have your name on it.
I go through the mail.
But it's okay, that's enough.
We're getting way too far afield here.
So, okay, talking about movies, do you think that The Last Stand would have been a good movie to take a date to?
Not a first date.
Is any movie a good movie to take a first date to?
Unless the chick is, or I guess dude, yeah, this could work either way. If the other is, from a fact they don't go for like cheesy stuff, you could probably play it safe by going to like a mainstream action adventure film or for a comedy of some sort. I'm just going to say a thing for any ladies out there that want to date me. I don't do romantic comedies.
You're missing out. Some of those are really good movies.
No. I feel like we've had this conversation before.
We probably have, but that's not the question. The question is, are movies okay for a first date?
I think if you somehow, either through communication or just outright knowing a person, know that a certain movie they enjoy, going to that kind of movie can work. But as a blind guess saying, hey, I've talked to you, for a grand total of 20 minutes and we're going to have a date. No, a movie's a horrible idea because you don't know what a person will like and you can totally screw things up. So
you're saying that there needs to be some sort of established relationship, whether it be a friend or at least an acquaintance?
There needs to be established knowledge, I think.
So you could hear, are you saying I could hear from a third party that so-and-so likes dinosaur movies and then go and see Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
On a first date?
I think that would work. Yeah. If you're certain in that knowledge, like if I knew a girl that I thought would be good for you, and I told you she enjoys movies with dinosaurs in them, then you could be confident in taking her out to Walking with Dinosaurs 3D. Don't do that movie; it's horrible.
I wasn't planning on.
But that's the example.
It's okay. I don't need.
You have to have certain knowledge, I think, because otherwise you get into some weird situations. Like I knew a couple people that had I don't know if it was their first date, but it was definitely an early date. And I don't know why they asked me to come with, but I did. That was really weird. But anyway, they went on a date to see Borat.
It's not really a movie you would want to take a date to.
I didn't think so either, but those two proved me wrong, I guess.
Well, unless you're interested in showing the other person
other people's
male
genitals.
genitalia. Then,
Not just male genitalia, gigantically
that's
on the
true.
screen, not your own, I guess, which would be weird if it was your own.
it's one thing though if you know that the other person is into that kind of weird off the cuff comedy.
Yeah.
It's another thing if they've never heard of Sacha Baron Cohen at all, or know the kind of stuff that he likes to do.
Which, when that movie came out, pretty much nobody knew who Sacha Baron Cohen was.
That's true.
I mean, you've done some HBO stuff, but who watches HBO anymore? Oh, wait. A lot of people do.
Everybody who likes Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's true. Or Entourage. No, Entourage was Showtime.
Yep.
Anyway, sidetrack. No, and actually, I think for a first actual date, I took a girl to a movie. I just knew that by then we'd known each other long enough that I knew that taking her to see Mission Impossible 3 would work out just fine.
But see, that's okay, because you had already known each other. There was a prior... You had not just said, hey, I think you're good.
I think you're awesome. Let's go see Mission Impossible together. I hope you don't mind Tom Cruise trying to be an action hero.
I think the problem a lot of people have is they think that a movie is a good first date, but you're just sitting there next to each other. I mean, you might want something out of it, but there's no interaction.
Well, I think what can work, though, and this is just me kind of spitballing, correct me if I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm an idiot, but I think if you, like, because the classic thing to do is, like, dinner and a movie, right? That's a quote-unquote classic date.
Sure.
Right? You hear it suggested all the time. You see it in movies. But I think what would work better is that if you you could do dinner and then that second half, you figure out what you do based on the dinner half, the conversation you have during dinner. Now, obviously, that requires some spontaneity and local knowledge on your part or their part, but that's cooler.
I
right?
agree.
If you could pull it off, that's badass.
I think if you can pull it off,
like
you can have a conversation just about anything.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, for example, you go on a date with somebody and then they talk about how much they freaking love teddy bears. I have a gigantic teddy bear collection, blah, 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 blah. And so, Dean, you go, wait a second, there's a Build-A-Bear workshop not 20 miles from here, or not even that far away. It's 10 miles away. It's a quick drive. You say, okay, well, guess what? It's still open. It's a smartphone. You've got your smartphone. You check to make sure it's open. You're like, hey, let's go build a teddy bear.
Do you say, let's go build a teddy bear, or do you say, hey, I've got a great idea, just trust me on this one, and then you go build a teddy bear?
That second one is ballsy, but doable.
But it could pay off.
It could totally pay off. I mean, the safe route is, hey, I got an idea. Let's go to a Build-A-Bear workshop and da-da-da. And based on what you know about this person, they're probably going to be okay with it because they've told you how much they love teddy bears. But the pulling off the magic, by the way, you're getting a teddy bear, would be pretty cool if you could do it. I would not be able to. I would just come off as a creeper. Come in my car. I'll do something. We'll do something. Just trust me. It's a little weird.
Just trust me. You're going to like this.
I'm a spy.
Whatever you say.
We're going to put a microphone in a teddy bear.
It's going to have my voice. Just
Spy Bear.
Did you like
it's like
it?
Teddy Ruxpin, but with this voice.
I had a Teddy Ruxpin when I said him.
I didn't. I just know that it's a thing. I didn't know it was a thing until like 3 years ago, but now I do.
It's the best thing, and I always wanted to play a different tape in it, and I never did.
Oh. I thought this was a TV show.
Teddy Ruxpin was a TV show, but Teddy Ruxpin was also a teddy bear that you put tapes in the back of, and he would move his mouth and tell you stories.
That might be the most disturbing thing I've ever seen.
From the toy, they made the show out of it.
So it was a toy first?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not Hasbro's Transformers that was made to sell toys.
Oh, gotcha.
It was the toy that
got freaking popular. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but no, I think that's the dating trick, right? Is the dinner and because dinner in a movie is A, cliche, and B, dangerous.
Well, why do you have to go to dinner at all? Can't you just jump to the anda?
You can. I think the dinner thing is the icebreaker, though. I guess you could theoretically make it coffee anda or drinks anda. Right. Yeah.
Sure, some kind of refreshment.
Yeah, it's an icebreaker is what it is. It's not immediately encountering somebody and saying, okay, now we're going to go do this oddly specific activity.
Right.
It's, hey, let's figure out who we are first, even though maybe we've been chatting online or we know each other through a friend or something like that. You still want an in-person icebreaker,
Right.
is my thinking.
And I think that's one of the things that really sucks about dating is that there's so many expectations. There's needs to be an icebreaker. There needs to, oh, we went and did this that last time, so we have to do something just as meaningful. We have to have some kind of great conversation. I mean, and if you find the right people, it can happen. But
yeah,
sometimes you get to the point where you build up so many expectations.
That's happening. That's what I'm dealing with right now, being the single guy and trying to, find somebody is just the expectation game is so ridiculous. That's the problem. Yeah. That's the thing. It's so bad.
And that's hard because it almost makes you feel like you can't be yourself because there's ridiculous expectations.
You start realizing, oh God, I've got a different personality when I'm out doing that kind of stuff. It's annoying as shit.
Right.
It is. It's annoying.
So all in all,
dating
sucks. It sucks. Oh man, and especially nowadays. I mean, I don't have the issue anymore since I'm engaged, but it sucks. It just the whole process of dating. Like dating it's fun when it goes right.
Yeah.
But it can be so stressful. You can be like, because it's one of those things where if it's not going well, the other person just doesn't say anything. And a lot of times they get quiet. And you don't know if it's going well and they're thinking things or if they're thinking the opposite, where it's like, this is fucking dumb. I can't wait until I'm done with this so I can go, whatever they do
not be
afterwards.
With this person.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm two against one on that. I've had two experiences where the dating worked out pretty well, and then I've had one where it's just like crickets chirping the entire goddamn time. It was so bad.
It is bad.
So bad.
Speaking of
help that I was working a night job and had to go to work at 2 hours after we decided to meet up. So it was a very quick date. It was just like, sorry, I got to go to work.
But still,
that's goddamn awkward.
It's awkward, but at the same time, it shouldn't matter if there's
the person knew it going in, but still, didn't help.
So I read an article today, actually, about a guy who had a Twitter name. It was worth $50,000. This Twitter handle
because it was rare.
Yes, it's @N. Did you hear about?
I've heard about that. Yeah, and he got hacked away from him. Because
he got his personal GoDaddy domain hacked. They got his email, and
from there, it spiraled.
They just got everything. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how people can do that, and I don't understand why this guy didn't just go the legal route as soon as that person was writing him emails saying, "I'll give it to you in exchange for this username."
Yeah,
that is since locked. You can't see anything, and this is a username that he never even used.
Yeah, he just was sitting on it because he could sell it to somebody.
Of course.
But I think his issue was more that his other stuff got hacked.
Right, personal emails, his domain.
That actually happened to a guy who wrote for Wired magazine.
Uh-huh.
And how he found out was a guy took control of his Twitter account, but the guy got to his Twitter account through his Mac.com email.
Really?
Yeah. And he lost, the guy took over all of his image backups. So he had pictures of his kids and stuff first kids, first steps, that kind of stuff that he didn't have anywhere else.
That's not good.
And he'd lost all this stuff. There's a huge article about it in Wired, and it's on the website. I just can't remember what it was called. But yeah, that's how he found out he had gotten hacked, was that somebody started posting on Twitter as him. Well, I didn't write that.
The interesting thing about this other Twitter one that I was talking about is that he didn't even get hacked. The guy called GoDaddy saying that he was him.
Oh yeah, that's how most people
numbers, do it. And that was it. He just posted as a person.
They can do that kind of thing because I think the one I was talking about, the guy did it as a combination of his Mac.com email address and an Amazon account, because he could get into Apple ID stuff Because
Right.
one of the security checks that Apple ID uses is the last four numbers of a credit card.
Exactly.
And if you could get, the guy got into the dude's Amazon account and found all the last four numbers of credit cards.
Yep.
Of this guy's credit cards. And so that's how he used it to get into the Apple verification.
And that was the same thing with this GoDaddy thing. All you needed was the last four numbers, and then they had to, then once you gave them that, you had to give them the first two of the credit card. And
Which,
they let
if you know what kind of credit card, you can almost easily guess.
Well, and the thing about GoDaddy is they let you guess as many times as you want.
Yeah, because Visas start with 4. Discover cards start with 5. American Express starts with 3.
Right. So you've already got one of them down.
Exactly.
That's all you need.
And American Express cards are 4 groups of 3 numbers. They don't put them that way on the card, but that's actually how it numerically works out.
Right.
It's 4 groups of 3 numbers, while the other cards, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, are larger numbers. This is what you learn working nights at a hotel, people. When you have to manually enter 45 credit cards because your hotel is so cheap, they can't connect your reservation system to your credit card machine. And you have to manually run credit cards every goddamn night.
I'm so glad I
You
never
learn
had to
these
do that.
things.
I'm so glad I never had to do that when I worked at a hotel.
Yeah, well, I did for 6 months every night.
It's in the past. It's in the past. It's okay.
It haunts me.
You didn't have to when you graduated hotels, did you?
No, the Hampton was, it was an actual hotel as opposed to a Shiloh Inn. Oh,
Well-
did I say name? I'm sorry. So I've had 2 jobs that I don't talk about. 3 jobs that I don't talk about on job applications. I think I'm to the point, though, where they don't come up on my applications because it's been so long and I've had enough jobs since then.
I have a couple jobs like that.
Yeah.
I put on resumes.
One job, I've technically been fired from a job, but it's so far in the past that it doesn't matter. And B, I didn't work there long enough for it to matter.
Sure.
I worked at a movie theater in Moscow where Young and I went to school for 2 weeks. And I got fired because I called in sick. I probably wasn't the best employee in the world. I was kind of a smartass at the time. So, because I'd worked a movie theater job before, and this was a podunk movie theater in Podunk, Moscow, as compared to, oh my God, Coeur d'Alene. But the guy who ran it was kind of a high, holier than thou kind of dude, even though he was 5 feet tall at best and missing literally half of his teeth. This half and this half.
The only 2 halves.
So his bite was even, but he was missing half his teeth.
Good. That's like you don't need.
But no, I called in sick and he said, "Well, I guess we don't need you anymore." And then I went there to go see a movie a couple of weeks later, and I saw that instead of somebody working my job, I saw this 16-year-old girl working, and I'm just like, that's why I got fired, because I was the 22-year-old college student that he had to pay higher than minimum wage because of previous job history. And little 16-year-old high school girl, he could pay minimum wage because she'd never had a job before. I got mathed out, people. So that's what I had that job for 2 weeks, and then I had another one where I had a job for a week, and I quit that one, and they were just like, "It's probably for the best for both of us," because I was working 2 jobs at the time, and this one was 3 12s and then a 6-hour day. So you had 3 days of 12-hour shifts. So it was 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. was my shift. And the second job I was working was at a restaurant where I tended to work Saturday nights until about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And then then Sunday morning was my first 12-hour shift. And so, you'd have to be up at 4 in the morning to eat breakfast, shower, blah, 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 get there on time. And so, I wouldn't get to bed until like 1 in the morning.
Right.
And so I found myself at my 12-hour main job just going. And it was dealing with, we were making coin blanks, and it was like silver proofs. And so it's like, significant money going by. And if I doze off and miss a bad coin and it goes off to who knows where, and the client finds it, the company loses millions of dollars because they throw it all away. So they were just like, you need to stop doing this, because what goes through your line every hour sells for about $16,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they're like, you need to get your sleep. And I'm like, I don't think I need this job anymore. I had that job for a week.
I have also worked a job for a week. There used to be a place here in Moscow called Lefties.
Lefties! Oh God, I never ate there, but I always wanted to.
It was a great place, and I mean, it was nicest owners.
That's right.
But the guy
cook there.
The guy who was a cook he was a jerk. He was supposed to train me in what they needed to do for their little
line.
operations, which was not hard. But I had never worked in that place, so I wasn't exactly sure what went into everything, and he got mad at me far too often. And I was making fry sauce. I made fry sauce. It's simple.
Nice.
Fry sauce is ketchup and mayonnaise.
Yeah, for people
Big jar
not from
ketchup.
Idaho,
Yes.
because somehow apparently this is only an Idaho thing. It doesn't exist
And
in the rest of
Utah.
the world somehow.
It
Okay.
exists in Utah.
Probably just northern Utah, though. I bet you it's not in southern Utah.
Maybe. But
I mean, all of our friends that Young and I know that are from like Alaska or Colorado or France, even, I guess, nobody knew what fry sauce was,
exactly.
which blew our minds because we're just like, it's fry sauce.
And you may
You go
not even
somewhere and
know
you
what
order
fry
fry
sauce
sauce.
is. Good
Yeah,
fry
fry sauce
sauce.
Fry sauce is basically ketchup and mayonnaise mixed together.
It is ketchup and mayonnaise mixed together. Good
Some
fry
places
sauce
throw some
has
Worcestershire in. Yeah.
or paprika or something.
Oh, yeah. They've got their little twists.
It's
but
good. It's better that way. If you have a chance, you just want to try some generic fry sauce, try some dude's fry sauce. It's pretty decent.
That's not bad. Anyway, you were making
But I
fry
was
sauce
making
for
fry
lefties.
sauce for lefties for them to put in the smaller containers. I just mixing this big thing. He comes in and takes a spoon out of it, like a big spoon, and just eats the whole thing because he was going to taste it. Which, fine, taste the fry sauce. I could care less.
Check the quality. Yeah.
You can find out what this fry sauce is. He eats this whole spoon. He's like, that's not good enough. Sticks the same spoon back in and takes another bite. And then I was like, well, you can't put your same spoon back in. And he's like, well, and he freaked out at me and he just lost it. I worked there for an entire week. I learned a couple of things. I learned how they used to make burgers the size of
Oh, yeah. I heard about these.
stool seats. So they were about that big around. And they had buns, special ordered buns that came just for them that were the same size. They also made elk burgers. Really good food.
Oh, yeah. I'd heard.
But
I just never got there.
I just couldn't take being treated like crap for apparently not knowing how to make fry sauce and some other things. So I went to the owners and I said, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. Your cook over there is not nice. He's being a jerk to me.
And is probably breaking several state laws.
Yeah, and he's doing things that are questionable in my mind. And they didn't believe me. So I said, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to leave. I would have made because I was only working part-time. I would have made like $50. Never went back to get that money. I didn't even want to. I never went back in that place. And now it's gone.
Yeah.
It's a
and that's
Ethan
kind of
Plus
sad because
place.
I'd always wanted to eat there. But now that you're telling me that the guy who was apparently in charge of fry sauce was double dipping spoons, I'm kind of glad I didn't.
Yeah, it was no good. I'm sure that's not the first time that ever happened.
Yeah.
But
Still.
I've only ever been fired from one job.
And that was it? No, you quit that one, you said.
I quit Lefties.
Which one did you get fired from?
I was.
Or do you not want to say?
No, it's fine. And I don't put this on applications either, just because
It's too far back.
it's not as a job. Well, I mean, it was in college, but it's not.
It's not really
It's not significant enough, I guess. When I was in college, when we were in college, I worked as the board chair for Vandal Entertainment for an entire semester.
Now I'm getting some dirt.
I went through everything. The end of the semester, and this is when a lot of people still around. I'm not going to name names just for their sake.
Just to be nice. Well, yeah.
Let's just say that we went to a conference in Spokane. It's the NACA, Northwest Arts and something conference. And everything was okay. But me and the, what do you call it?
Head person, chair.
I was the board chair, so I was like I was the head person other than the
Some other administrator.
advisor. There you go.
Advisor, there you go. Yeah.
Me and the advisor didn't see eye to eye on things.
Ew.
I wanted to do all kinds of like different kind of cool things. She wanted indie bands. She wanted indie bands from Portland and Seattle, groups nobody had ever heard of. She wanted us to waste our money on stuff like that. They ended up doing
But you
that
can easily get other groups.
And I told her, yes, easily. For if anybody who watches this goes to the University of Idaho, went to the University of Idaho, and want to know where your student fees went, $250,000 every year, $250,000 every year, went to Vandal Entertainment to put on concerts, like large concerts, small concerts, comedy shows, magic shows, lectures, and films, which were $2. And since
the movies were cheap. But
since then, they've changed it to free, so they're all free movies, which is nice.
Oh.
If you're a student, you still have to pay if you're not. But $250,000 every year.
Not small money.
No one, since they've been getting that, no board had ever used the entirety of their budget. Because part of it had to go for paying for venues and promotions and things, which is fine, but that doesn't cost. Let's be
hotel
honest.
for the guest, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but that doesn't cost that much money. You're putting them up for one night, maybe 2 rooms.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
It's insignificant to the amount of money that's there.
Yeah,
I wanted to spend $60,000, which is very little in comparison to everything else that we did. I wanted to do $60,000 to bring the Rockstar Energy Drink Tour to the University of Idaho. The headline for that was a group called The Used. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're not the biggest group ever, and they're not the best group ever, but they do a show as well as 5 other bands, and you get like BMX, motocross things. All of that all together, plus the crew comes with them. Yeah. All of that for $60,000. That's it.
Wow. That's pretty good, actually.
The only things we would have had to pay for were reserving spaces. And maybe some crews like sound production and lighting.
Yeah.
Just so they could let the other people in to know what was going on.
Yeah.
And that was it. That's all I wanted to do. I was going to do that for Finals Fest. I would have made it an actual festival.
Yeah, instead of just one concert that happens one night, which is pretty much what happens at the University of Idaho now.
Yeah, I mean they get
Macklemore, which is awesome, but it's one night.
Well, and Washington State's getting Snoop Dogg this year.
Oh wow! Well, does anybody really care about Snoop Dogg anymore?
Snoop Lion.
Does anybody care about him anymore, though?
He's kind of cool, but he probably does a show for a bag of chips. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if he's doing Katy Perry features, right?
Yeah, that's not. I'm not saying that as like a marijuana reference, but like he pretty much does anything anybody asks him to.
Bag of chips, I get that now.
The long and short of it is, we get back because we butt heads at this conference.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another story about that conference, which is amazing. I saw the best comedian in my life there.
Oh, cool.
Yes, I'll tell you in a minute. But so we butt heads at the conference, and I get back to school. I held regular office hours. I was there more than anybody else, just because I had a lot more to do. Because as the board chair, you also are responsible for those large concerts. Yeah, and we tried to do at least 2 a year. They don't anymore. Yeah. But whatever, they can do whatever they want. I don't care. I get back, and the president of the student body comes and asks to talk to me. I was like, okay. We talked about all kinds of stuff because it was all, it was everybody's money. So we had talked before. I go into his office, and he's like, how are things going? And I said, they're going great. We're just trying to get stuff done. And he said, well, and he's like, this is kind of weird. This is kind of awkward, but I'm going to have to ask you to step down as board chair. I said, I don't know where this is coming from. I was really like a loss for words. It hit me.
It's stunning.
Broadside.
Literally.
Yes. I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, I mean, is there anything I could do to stay around? He's like, no, we need you to step down. And they had the promotions chair guy take over for me, which was weird. I even suggested other people, and they didn't take my advice, but it was all because of this the stupid advisor, which I don't understand. I mean, that they don't really need an advisor for that group because ASUI doesn't have an advisor. I mean, they have university officials who are advisors, I guess, but it was odd.
They're also bosses, yeah.
So, I mean, it was a job because I got paid.
Yeah.
And I got fired, but that's the only job I've ever gotten fired from. I mean, I quit plenty of jobs, but
me too.
But
every other job that I have been fired from, I've quit.
Exactly, except for the one you have.
Other than the one I have right now, and the one I've created for myself because it's my job, because it's my career.
Yes, exactly.
My writing. I'm not going to fire myself from it, and I'm not going to quit.
Anyway, so let me tell you about this comedian.
Yeah.
Now this guy, he was not funny whatsoever.
Okay.
But still, hands down, best comedian I've ever seen. If you can imagine, and you will, a black albino human being. He's black man. Both of his parents are black, but he's albino. So he, for all intents and purposes, looks white.
But not Michael Jackson style, is what you're saying. He didn't have that disease.
No, he was actually he was an albino. He's an albino. Okay. But a black guy. Mm-hmm. So that's weird, one. And he made a lot of jokes about that, which was whatever.
You got to do that.
A lot of his jokes were about some really serious stuff. Like he tried to make a joke about a car crash. Somebody dying in a car crash.
See, and I've heard George Carlin do that, and it's hilarious. But George Carlin wasn't using actual people. He was hypotheticalizing it.
But George Carlin also told jokes. This guy was just telling stories about car crashes. And he kept thinking they were funny. Nobody. This is in a convention center, a room with over 200, 300. Oh, it was huge. There had to be at least 500 people there. Mm-hmm. Not a single person besides me and one of the other people on the board who you know. We thought it was funny because nobody was laughing.
Yeah.
He wasn't funny. There was one thing he said that
had a chuckle.
4 other people around us kind of snicker and it was my favorite thing. Nobody laughed. He walks up to the front of the stage and he goes, "Man, feels like I'm holding a handful of scorpions. Scorpion!" And he does this with his hand. It was just so random because he knew nobody thought he was funny. So he's just like, "Oh man, this feels like I'm holding a handful of scorpions." It's like, is it really that painful?
Well, because there's non-poisonous scorpions too, so maybe that's what he was talking about.
Who knows? But if you're doing this, I mean...
Well, that's not really holding scorpions. That's something else.
Whatever, man. He's a black albino, so... That alone
he's not a racist,
hilarious.
guys, I swear. He's not racist.
I'm not, but can you imagine it? If you can't imagine what a black albino person looks like, Google it. Google's the answer to all your questions.
Well, and one of the signs of albinism is like a red tint to the eyes too. That's, along with the white skin, isn't there like something that happens to eye color? Yeah,
they usually like a reddish pink color, but
yeah,
I don't remember if he actually had that. I don't know. I want to believe he was a black albino. I also really want to believe that was a joke, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Because if he wasn't a black albino and he was making jokes about it, that's just awkward as balls.
Yeah. Anyway, it was very weird. But he was also, at the same time, the funniest person I've ever seen. Because it was so bad. It was so bad.
Nice.
And when I say funniest person I've ever seen, I don't mean that. I've seen many funny people. Yeah. I've seen Seinfeld live, so.
I've seen Rob Corddry live. He was hilarious, too.
Yeah, I met that guy.
I know you did.
I also met Ben Folds and a lot of people through working for Vandal Entertainment.
I know you met Ben Folds, and you're a horrible friend for not letting me know about Ben Folds before you showed up to the University of Idaho. What is wrong with you? How did I only start listening to Ben Folds in 2009?
I worked
when he was at the University of Idaho in 2006, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Anyway, before I was listening to Ben Folds, now, if I had known, oh God, Young, I should have hit you so hard in college.
I would have
so hard.
I would have gotten you free tickets to that.
I know.
Because there were only like 2,000 people at that concert.
Yeah, it wasn't full.
It's very small.
It was in the Dome, right?
Yeah.
It was just Ben. It wasn't Ben Folds 5. It was Ben Folds.
Ben Folds.
But still, they still played Ben Folds 5 songs, if I recall, right?
Yep. It's basically the same concert.
Yeah.
Without the other two guys.
Yeah, just without Robert's Legendary and Jesse, yeah.
And Ben Folds is really short. So
yeah.
When he took his picture with my fiance and I, he stood between us, and he was like, "Man, you guys are tall." And it's like we're like, "No, you're just kind of short." And he's like, he looked over at me, and he's just like, "All right." And he stood up on his tippy toes. So the picture I have of us
looks normal.
with Ben Folds, he's same height as us.
He
would never know because you can't see anything below the waist. It's That's hilarious.
Cool, do you think he was insulted?
No, he acted like he thought it was great. Like,
okay.
I'm famous. Nobody ever says shit like that to me. I'm going to be your height now. Let me get on your level.
And I don't think he doesn't really seem like the kind of guy who takes insults in a bad way or like even feels insulted.
And it wasn't an insult. It wasn't meant
just like,
to be
well,
an
no,
insult.
we're just, like,
we're just tall.
Normally tall.
It's just like, no, you're just kind of short.
Now, that's one guy. I was actually talking with my friend Danny yesterday because we went to a pub trivia here in town.
Sure.
And we were both talking about Ben Folds back in November premiered a piano concerto with the Nashville Symphony.
Right.
Okay. And Danny and I we were talking about Ben Folds, like, because I wrote an arrangement for a choir, and we were talking about that. But we were talking about how crazy good a pianist Ben Folds is. And it's not because he's got reach. Like, I mean, he can do really wide passages, but it's not because he's got reach. It's just he can move his hands and fingers really quickly, I think is what it is. You know, you've met the guy. Tell me I'm wrong. Maybe he's got huge hands.
No, he's got average size hands for the size of his body.
So, yeah, he's just got to be really he's got to be really dexterous then.
Just well trained.
I mean, you know, yeah, just listen to Zach and Sarah. Oh, my God, he's going through this trip. Yeah. It's like, it's nothing. And that's just ridiculously tough. Anyway, we were talking about that, and that brought up this whole thing about how Ben Folds had written a piano concerto. And I was, like, last November, I didn't have as much money as I wanted. I mean, nobody does, but, you know, I was so ridiculously tempted to just go to the website, buy a ticket, buy a hotel, and I have a free flight on Delta. I was this far away from doing it just to go catch that concert.
Yeah, I wish there was some. There's got to be a
I'm sure
recording.
There's a recording out there, and you'll be able to buy it soon, I'm sure. But I was just so tempted to be like, I'm going to go to Nashville, guys. Hey, guys, by the way, on Friday, I'm going to be in Central Time.
I still can't believe
Tennessee.
I still can't believe I didn't go to the concert in Spokane with the symphony.
That's the other thing I'm angry with my friends about is that Ben Folds was at the Spokane Symphony because he did one of his symphony tour concerts in Spokane. And all of our friends went, and A, you didn't go, and that sucks. And B, they also didn't tell me about how freaking awesome Ben Folds' music is, and therefore get me interested in going to the concert. And so I couldn't see him in Spokane.
That was after you had listened to Ben Folds. Yes, it was.
Nope. It was because of that concert I started listening to it. Everybody was going on about how great this concert was and how awesome the music was. And I was just like, who the shit is Ben Folds?
On that note, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about on this episode, as you put it. I wanted to talk about the process, something I wanted to do for quite a long time, and something you've had recent experience doing. I've always wanted to do this on my own, and there's also another project I want to do that coincides with it. But I've always wanted to create and brew my own beer.
Ooh, yes.
And I know you recently had an experience with a friend of ours.
It wasn't creating a beer; it was brewing a pre-made recipe. But yeah,
you're still creating the beer.
Yeah, we are making beer. It is currently fermenting about 3.5 hours away from where I'm sitting. In a Glear class carboy, and it's going to be a cream ale, and it will be delicious. At least it better be delicious. Otherwise, stinking up the house that we did it at was not worth it.
So when you say cream ale, is it like...
It's an American cream ale. That's what it's called.
American cream ale.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you describe a cream ale? Like what?
Well, I know that this particular one is amber in color, light amber.
Sure.
It's going to have thick, from what I understand anyway, probably a thicker head, because I know when we were doing some of the final steps, it foamed right the hell up, and it was really thick foam too. That I don't, God, I can't remember. When I read the recipe, we were a little drunk because, well, you're brewing beer, you drink.
Yes,
but it's a lighter beer with not a significant amount of hops, so it's not really hoppy. But it's an ale; it's not like a lager, so it's not going to be smooth as the ice or whatever, like freaking Coors or whatever.
Oh, sure.
But it's going to have a little hop kick to it, but it's supposed to be just a light, smooth beer.
Nice.
Probably a little out of season for February, which is when it's going to get bottled and drank. But because I think it should be bottling within the next week or so.
Nice.
It's technically a 3-week fermentation on it. I think you can wiggle it a little longer, if I recall. I know that at minimum it's 3 weeks. But yeah, so by the time we go out to drink it, it will probably be bottled already, because you have to get it out of there at a certain point. Otherwise it starts doing other stuff, I guess. Yeah, no, it's going to be a lighter beer, like kind of, and they say cream ale because it's going to be like, it's going to have some body to it.
Sure.
But it's a lighter color. It's not a heavy flavor like a stout or a porter.
So, I mean, I've never brewed beer. Is the process? I mean, I know there's a lot of steps to it, but is it fairly simple?
I mean, if you follow a specific recipe, like we both have a friend that brews his own recipes, and so I'm sure that's levels more complicated. But what we did, this particular recipe was all written down for us, so it was like doing a cookbook recipe for making strudel, I guess, or something. You just follow the things. If you do all the steps correctly, it's going to come out well. And I mean, we have yet to see if we didn't screw something up. Maybe we started boiling too late or something. We don't know. We'll find out. And all of our friends will be the guinea pigs. But this one was, as long as you got everything sterilized, which there's steps for, and our friend had a whole kit, and most kits will come with sterilization solutions.
Right.
You sterilize all the equipment you're using. You make sure you follow your recipe amounts correctly, and make sure that the amounts of ingredients that you've got are correct. It's really, once you do that, it's really easy to do, because it tells you what you need to do at what times. And so as long as you're just not stupid and are keeping track of that, you're going to be okay. We had one point where we were about a millimeter away from boiling over our pot, but we got it off the heat in time, turned the element down a bit, and it went down, put it back on. We're fine. That was the only, like, oh God, this could be bad, because it's beer boiling over. It's anything boiling over. But that was the only time where we were like, oh God, are we screwing up? Oh God. Otherwise, we were just like following the directions and we're good.
So did you just decide on the cream ale because that's what he had already, or?
I think that's what Matt had either picked up, or he had gotten all this from his wife as one of her first anniversary gift to him.
Sure.
Pretty much the best anniversary gift ever. Beer brewing, right?
Right.
But I don't recall if he chose this recipe or if it was part of the kit she had gotten him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the only ingredients he had for this beer.
Sure.
But so, I mean, I didn't have a choice in that, and I didn't want nor need a choice, because I was just there to assist.
Of course.
I was just visiting, and it happened to be the weekend I was visiting. He was going to make beer. So I was just like, he's like, you want to help out? And I was like, of course I want to help out.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
So I didn't have a decision in it, but I just reading it, I was just like, this could be really good, actually. This sounds like a good beer. So I'm in.
It does.
Yeah. We didn't throw in legit microbrewers. They're like, we're making this with a chocolate accent and hints of saffron and coffee. we didn't do anything like that.
The people who take forever to make everything just perfect.
They make 27 different batches of it before they do a test batch for their friends, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like Clay, our friend Clay. No, he doesn't do that.
No,
he makes one test batch and then just has everybody try it anyway.
Yeah, and it's always really
usually good somehow.
He has made the best, one of the best IPAs I've ever had.
God, that IPA was stunning. Disclaimer: I hate IPAs.
Oh
with
yeah,
a burning passion.
And this IPA had everybody believing. It was
this IPA was glorious. It was the smoothest, still one of the smoothest beers I've drank.
Oh,
which
yeah.
for an IPA is ridiculous to think about.
Right. Not super hoppy.
So smooth.
So full of flavor.
But it was
delicious.
actually an IPA. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I could taste the hops in it, but I didn't care.
Yeah, we drank so much of that. So
A lot of people got drunk off that. That wasn't even the strongest beer he made that night, though. The other one was higher ABV.
Right.
Pretty sure.
But I know I drank more of that IPA.
Because it was good.
It was good.
There wasn't any left for the next day, which was supposed to be the plan.
Was it really?
No, the only other beer he had left was that other one that he had in like in a plastic carton, and it started going bad because it was in a plastic carton for like a day. And people are just like, I can taste it. It's gross.
Well, there was plenty of other beer there. But that's,
Well, yeah.
That's
This was at a friend's wedding. Our friend Clay, basically, kind of what he does instead of buying wedding gifts or like contributing in a service of like I'm going to play music or be the officiant or whatever, he makes a couple beers for a wedding. And it might be specific to you, or it might be something he's tried before. That I'm sure is up to him. But he makes like a couple pony kegs, basically.
And it's the best gift you could ever get.
It's the best beer you can do because you're providing beer for a wedding.
Right.
Which is amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I would like to I have a mini fridge that I would love to convert into a kegerator.
You do it. I will live with you forever.
Just to put a pony keg in, because you don't need to put a huge thing in it. But
well, in a mini fridge, you're not going to fit a regular keg in there anyway.
Well, could you fit 2 pony kegs? I mean, you have to take the freezer out, of course. But do you think you could fit 2 pony kegs in a mini
You can't
fridge?
take the freezer out of those mini fridges, though.
Yes, you can.
You break the system, and it actually you have to disconnect the Freon line, and it ruins it.
I'm sure
You can't cut that line. No, I don't think you can. You can get mini fridges that don't have freezers in them.
That's true.
But I don't think you could take the freezer out of a fridge that has one installed in it. Just because to do it, you have to cut the line that provides the coolant to the freezer.
Oh, that's true.
And that's where the Freon is. And once you cut a line with Freon in it, it all escapes, and B, it contaminates the room it's in. You have to ventilate it.
Regardless, I bet you I could probably still use.
You could put at least one pony keg into a mini fridge, though. Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. And with that, I think we will wrap this up.
Wrap it up.
Go brew some homemade beer. Make Big Al's bomb.
Yeah, if you decide to brew some beer after watching this, let us know what you did, how it's going, so that we can steal your ideas and claim them as our own. I mean, do it as well.
Film it and make a video response, and take your ideas
love to watch
and we'll drink it.
Yes, beer.
Cool. Well, that's all for this one. We'll hit you up later with another episode.
Glorious episode.
Glorious episode.
Thank you much.
Bye.